everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Christy and I'm going to be your tour guide. I'm the Public Education and Information Specialist for the Marysville Fire District. So we're here today at Station 62 on Schultes Road at the roundabout. You may have passed it. This is one of the busiest fire stations in the entire district. It's one of 5 fire stations that we run here. And we miss having visitors here. So today is our chance to take you inside and give you a look around and see how the firefighters are working for you every day. So we're gonna go inside. Come on. Okay, so this is Fire Station 62. Right over here is where our battalion chief works every day. So the battalion chief is in charge of overseeing all of the firefighters that work across the district. And this is Battalion Chief Cal Droke. Let's go say hello to Cal.
This is Facebook Live, right?
We're live on Facebook.
Hello,
this
Facebook
is
Live.
Chief Droke.
Hi.
He is working as a battalion chief. You're overseeing all the firefighters in the district today.
All the personnel on duty.
That's wonderful. So how's your morning going so far?
So far, so good. We're pretty busy now. It's the COVID-19 has definitely added to our workload. So we're pretty busy right now.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about our response to COVID-19, which you guys might know as the coronavirus. So first, let's take a look at some other areas. So come on this way. So I want to show you a really important place here at Station 62. It's our training room. And a training room may not sound really important, but it is really important because our firefighters are training constantly, every day, year-round, no matter what, because they have to be at their best and able to respond to any kind of emergency, whether it's a medical call, a fire call, some kind of service call. They respond to anything we get called about. Rescues, you name it, we respond. So they have to be ready, and they do a lot of studying and training in here. We even open this room up to members of the public. We hold our CERT classes here. That's our Community Emergency Response Team classes, are also in here. So some of you who have been to those classes might recognize this room. So we talk about training and learning a lot. And one of the things that firefighters learn a lot about is science. Because it takes a lot of science to know how to put out a fire. So for any of you watching, do you know what it takes to start a fire? What are the 3 elements to get a fire going? Does anybody know? So one of them is fuel, like wood if you're burning a campfire. Another would be heat. So you need a heat source, something really hot. And then you also need oxygen for a fire to survive. So if you're cooking, for example, and you have a fire on the stovetop, a small fire, you could put the lid on the pan and that would take away the oxygen. That's why it puts that fire out. So fuel, heat, and oxygen, and then those things make a special chemical reaction. That's what it takes to start a fire. So now you know. Okay, so we're going to take a look at some other areas of the fire station. Come on. So now we're going to go into the area where the crew hangs out and does most of their work during the day. So over to this side, this is actually the captain's quarters, and our captain at Station 62 today is Captain Sam Eagle. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
So Sam, can you tell us a little bit, or Captain Eagle rather, would you tell us a little bit about what you do every day?
So my job here at the station is to oversee the work that's being done. I respond to calls as well. I'm on the ladder truck. But as the captain, we go through and make sure that the training is completed and recorded. Make sure that all the flow of the days, we take care of all the things we need to get done. We do a lot of training in-house, but because of what's going on and trying to maintain social distancing, we do a lot of online training now. So we'll do some recordings and then we'll try to replicate those drills here in station as opposed to going out off-site.
That's awesome. All right, thank you, Captain Eagle. All right, so take a look at this room right here. This is Firefighter Carberry. Say hi. So where he's sitting right now, this is considered our EOC at this station. EOC stands for Emergency Operating Center. So this is where firefighters could be here to receive calls and look at computers and see, more about the calls that they're going on. This is a working fire station. These firefighters are on duty 24 hours a day. So during this Facebook Live session, they may actually get called to an emergency. And when that happens, you're going to see lights flashing, you're going to hear a lot of sounds going off, because if firefighters are here for 24 hours a day, that means they also sleep here. And if they're asleep, they need to be woken up to go on an emergency. So just in case you hear that. So this room right here, if there's a really big emergency in our area, this could actually be used as a dispatching center, and we've done that several times. For instance, there was a stormy weather event, I believe it was last fall, and we used this room as a dispatch area because our crews were so busy and the 911 centers were so overwhelmed with calls that we could kind of funnel some of those here to help out. So I also want to show you this room over here. So we talked about firefighters learning a lot, and so this is just another example of that. This is kind of like a library and study room. Firefighters are constantly studying, learning new things. So that's why it's really important for all those kids out there watching to do your homework and to try to do well in school, because firefighting is more than about spraying water on a fire. It takes a lot of knowledge about things like science, like we talked about earlier, and all kinds of other things. So firefighters do spend a lot of time learning and studying. Okay, let's go see more of the station. So we're back in the EOC now, and you can see there's a lot of maps, things that might help our firefighters become just more and more familiar with our area. There's a screen right here that tells them where our apparatus are in the district right now. So I think I mentioned we have fire stations here at the Marysville Fire District. We serve over 80,000 residents on about a 56 square mile area. It includes the city of Marysville. It includes some parts of unincorporated Snohomish County and also parts of the Tulalip Indian Reservation. So we actually are spread out across a very large area, and we respond to a lot of calls every year. Just under 14,000 calls we responded to last year. Most of those calls, you might be surprised to hear, are actually medical calls, not fire calls. So we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Come on in here. So this is kind of a living area for the firefighters. We mentioned that firefighters are here 24 hours a day. So they have to live here kind of like a family when they're on shift. And so this is an area that they can, kind of sit and relax a little bit, maybe in the evening. If they get a chance, they actually don't get a lot of time to take advantage of these very comfortable looking seats. But they're here if they ever do get a break. And then here is where our firefighters have dinner. They sit together like a family and eat together just like many of you might eat with your families at home. That's a really important time for firefighters to talk about their day, talk about their families, and just get to know each other and build the bond that they share, because we really all do work like a family. And so that also means that they cook their own meals. It's my understanding that not all firefighters participate in the cooking, but there are some really good chefs on different shifts that get tabbed to cook some pretty delicious meals when they have time. And lately, one thing our firefighters have really been working to do is support our local businesses. during this time in our community where businesses are just having to do delivery and takeout. So we encourage you to do the same. We're trying to eat local as much as possible when we can. So, all right, let's take a look at some other things. See the rest of the kitchen here. So we talked a little bit earlier about what to do for a cooking fire. So I just want to take another minute to touch on that because we do have a lot of cooking fires in our district. It's actually one of the leading causes of fire here and across the country. Most of us cook, and so it's good to know what to do if you have a fire in your kitchen. So if you had a fire on your stovetop, maybe in a small pan like this, it's a really good idea to maybe keep a lid nearby when you're cooking, because we talked about what the elements of fire were, right? Heat, fuel, and oxygen. So if you have a lid nearby and you have a small fire, then you can take that lid, cover your pan, and then let the fire go out. Turn off the stove, if you can. Now, if it's a big fire, you just want to get out of the house and call 911. But if it's a small fire like that, then just slide a lid over the pan. Now, if you have a big grease fire, the last thing you want to do is throw water on it. That can actually make it splatter and get a lot worse and hurt you in the process. If you had a fire in your oven, same thing. You want to smother it, take away the oxygen. So just keep that oven closed and turn it off. That's the best way to put out small fires in the kitchen. Okay, so we said the firefighters live here 24 hours a day, so let's take a look at what else they have here. So through here, this is the area where the firefighters have their dorms. They each have a dorm where they sleep at night and can keep their personal belongings. We're keeping the doors closed because we like our privacy just like you guys do. But this is the area where they sleep and they can have a little private time. And then we have a very important room here at Fire Station 62 and at all of our fire stations. This is where firefighters work out. They do that every day because it's really important for firefighters to make sure they're conditioned to be ready to respond to any kind of emergency like we talked about. Now, it's not about being the strongest person in the room, it's just about having your body in the best condition. We get asked a lot if we have female firefighters, and the answer is absolutely yes. We have several female firefighters who are awesome. And so if you're a little girl out there and you want to be a firefighter, yes, you can. And you don't have to be the strongest person in the room. So we'll talk a little bit more about some of the firefighting techniques when we go look out in the apparatus bay. All right, and I think we're ready for that, so come on. Okay, so we're going to go out in the apparatus bay, introduce you to some more firefighters, and see some of the rigs that they drive here at the station. So this station houses Battalion 61. That's Battalion Chief Caldruck, who we talked to earlier. It also houses the district's only ladder truck. It houses an aid car, which is an ambulance, and then it also houses our technical rescue vehicle. So let's go check some of those out. Come on. All right, so this is our apparatus bay. You can see our technical rescue vehicle here. We use that for all kinds of things. We can do rope rescues, high angle rescues. Our firefighters can help with rescues all over the county and beyond if they're asked to. And they train specifically to be able to do some of those things. We can ask them about that in just a minute. So here's our ladder truck right here. It's very large, and I'm not going to give away all the secrets because we have a firefighter who's going to tell you some of that in just a moment. Come on over here. So
everybody.
We have Firefighter Glasson.
Hi.
We have Firefighter Carberry here. So you see what these firefighters are wearing right now. This is kind of their normal clothes when they're doing things in the station, doing training, learning, those kinds of things. But if they get called to a fire, they wear some pretty special clothes because we all know fire is really hot and they need to protect their skin. So they wear some very special gear in order to keep themselves safe. So Firefighter Lopez is going to grab some of his gear. He's going to put it on for you because it's important for you to know that this gear can make firefighters look a lot different, but they're still the same person. And if they show up and they're wearing all this stuff, they're there to help you. All the special gear is just to keep them safe. So he's going to start with his pants and boots. And if you notice, his pants are around his boots. Why is that, Firefighter Lopez?
So they're around our boots, so normally when you wear regular clothes, you put your pants on first and then your boots. This has to be a quick ensemble. We need to have all of this stuff on in about 60 seconds or less and get in the truck to respond out of the station. So having everything set up this way makes it a lot quicker and a lot easier for us to hop in the truck and get to where we need to be.
Did you hear that? 60 seconds it's supposed to take them to put on all these clothes. So take a look at what all he needs to put on and think about 60 seconds. Can you get your clothes on in the morning in 60 seconds? That's your next challenge. Okay. So he's going to put on his boots and his pants. So do you guys have rain boots at home? A lot of you probably do. So his boots look a lot like your rain boots. They're tall, they're black, they're really thick. So they're going to protect his feet from stepping on anything, in a house that might be on fire. There might be glass or other things that could hurt him. So then he's got his special bunker pants is what we call them. So those pants can withstand about 500 degrees for about 5 minutes. They're made of a very special material that helps keep firefighters safe so they can conduct rescues and go in houses to put out fire. But it's not fireproof. They can't stay in these clothes and be in a house fire, all day. They can only be in for a few minutes at a time. Okay. So now Firefighter Lopez has his special bunker coat. It looks a lot like maybe your winter coat. It's really thick and heavy, and it's also made of that really special material that's going to protect his skin from burning. And you'll notice that he has a lot of extra things hanging on his coat. Firefighter Lopez, can you talk about some of your special items you carry with you?
Yeah, of course. So one thing we need to have inside of a fire, so if you can imagine being inside a fire where there's fire, there's smoke. It's real dark and it's hard for us to see, so one thing we carry is a flashlight. So this is issued to every single one of us, so with one click of a button, you have a little more light that we can, hopefully see what we're doing a little bit better. Makes our job a little bit easier. Some firefighters even have it on their helmets.
That's awesome. So now he's covered from his neck to his feet, but he's missing a few things. So what's next?
So next thing, I'll hop in here. And I'll grab a mask.
So what is the mask for?
So this mask is for us to hook up our SCBA or self-contained breathing apparatus. This is so that way we're not breathing in any toxic smoke or gases that are being off-gassed in any structure fire.
So did you guys know that smoke has a lot of really yucky stuff in it? It's stuff that's really bad for you. You don't want to breathe it in. So firefighters need to wear a special mask, and they take air inside of a fire they're responding to. We'll get a look at that in just a second. But they need to do that because smoke is yucky. And that's also why it's important if you're ever in a fire for some reason and there's a lot of smoke around, it's why you want to get down really low because smoke goes up, right? That's what campfires do, the smoke goes up. So you want to get down and breathe the good air, not the yucky air up top, okay? So Firefighter Lopez is going to put on this mask and it's going to make him look a lot different. But it's important to know that he's still the same firefighter, and if he shows up to your house, he's there to help you, even though he looks kind of funny. Okay, so what's next?
Alright, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to hop inside the cab. I'm going to sit just like we normally would if we're responding to a fire, so that way I can get my SCBA on.
Okay, perfect. You want to come on closer? So this is the back of ladder 62. This is the back seat, and this is how firefighter Lopez would be sitting if he was responding to a fire.
So, these are mounted into the truck in this specific ladder. So one thing we have to do to dismount is get to pull this lever right here. And that right there releases the SCBA, so that way we can get off the truck and get ready to go.
So I don't know if you could hear that very good, but basically he pulls a little lever and that releases his, it's called a SCBA, self-contained breathing apparatus. What it really is like kind of a backpack that firefighters wear. And it contains air just like we're breathing right now, and it's put into this canister that he wears on his back. It's not an oxygen tank, or not exactly like, you know, scuba divers use, but it's just air, just like we're breathing.
So last thing right here, just like a seatbelt kind of, we want to get this cinched down to our waist. So once everything is set, we turn on our SCBA, we have a little lever right here. So, turn that on. So you hear a couple of alarms, couple of noises letting us know that the SCBA is on and it's receiving air. So, next thing I'll grab is my helmet.
So, do you guys wear a helmet when you're riding your bike or skateboarding? I hope so, because firefighters always wear a helmet if they're responding to a fire or anything where things could fall on their head. Because what's inside your head? Your brain. And your brain is super important to protect. So it's really important to always wear your helmet and protect your head. And firefighters know that.
All right, next thing we have is our glove. We need to protect our hands and any part of our body that can be exposed, we need to get it covered up.
So he's covering his hands with gloves because no skin can be showing if firefighters respond to a fire. All right, and I think he's ready to finish putting his breathing apparatus on. So this is going to make him sound kind of funny.
Hey everybody, can you guys still hear me?
If you guys can hear him, he sounds kind of funny. And you can really hear him breathing. But all this special equipment is just there to keep him safe. This is going to help him breathe. So how long would this tank of air last you?
So we're rated for about 45 minutes, but it depends on how much work we're putting inside of the fire or whatever incident that we're using this on. So if we're working really hard, whether it's pulling ceiling or pulling the fire hose, we're going to drain this bottle a lot quicker.
So if you guys couldn't hear that, he's saying that they're rated to last 45 minutes. But really, firefighters aren't just standing around if they're responding to a house fire. They're working really hard, maybe crawling on the ground, carrying a lot of equipment, and so they're using more air to breathe. And so in that kind of a case, their air pack may only last 20 minutes. And so that's why a lot of firefighters are needed to respond to a big fire because they can't just stay in there the whole time. They have to switch out their air packs and things like that.
Eric, say hi to Jessica.
Hey Jessica.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Firefighter Lopez. I appreciate it. So one of the things that we talked about earlier is that most of the calls we respond to are actually medical. And that's really important right now. So all of our firefighters are actually emergency medical technicians. Every single one of them is trained to perform medical procedures. We also have paramedics who are trained in advanced medical procedures. So right now, our firefighters are using those talents to help our community during the coronavirus outbreak, COVID-19. You guys probably know it by. So in order to respond to a lot of these calls, they're wearing some very special gear. And it looks a little different than the bunker gear, so we're gonna show you that in just a second. But I want you to know that when firefighters wear this stuff, they're just doing it to protect themselves. So we have okay, we're gonna go around this way. Come on. of our ambulances here at Station 62. And so we've got a couple firefighters who are going to talk more about our medical responses. So this is Firefighter Gargas and this is Firefighter Meyer. So Firefighter Gargas is going to show you some of that special gear that we were just talking about that firefighters are using right now. So the purpose of this gear is not only to protect our firefighters, but it's to protect our community. You know, we go to a lot of places responding to calls all day, and so we want to make sure that we're not spreading germs, and also we're not bringing germs back into our stations so that we can be ready to continue responding and helping our community through this. So, you want to show us some of the special gear?
I'll walk you guys through everything we're wearing. Start with our mask here.
So he's putting on a special mask. They will wear that for every medical call they respond to right now.
I'll put on my eye protection.
So he's protecting his eyes because all kinds of things can be, you know, in the air, and firefighters need to protect themselves from that.
And we'll put on a gown.
So this is the special gown that he's going to wear on every medical call. And that's going to be regardless of whether somebody has respiratory type symptoms or seems like they could have the coronavirus. This is just a precaution so that we're making sure we do everything we can to keep our community safe. And you can see sometimes firefighters need a little help getting all this extra gear on.
I'm not very good at tying off behind me. I'll put these forward. And lastly, we have our gloves.
So the gloves protect his hands. And so he looks a lot different, right? So you see Firefighter Meyer here, that's what a firefighter would normally look like. And right now you might see a lot of them looking like this. And so we just want you guys to know that that's just for our protection and your protection. We're all in this together and we're just doing our part to keep our community safe. So this is one of our ambulances where we would use this to transport people to the hospital. Firefighter Mark, can you tell us a little bit about the ambulance?
This is 862, one of the busiest 8 cars in the county. We have all sorts of things from blood pressure cuffs to oxygen to AEDs, all sorts of things to help you guys if you call us and you need our help. We have our bunker gear in case we have to go to a fire. We respond to fires with the ladder or any other apparatus that's dispatched in the district. We have electric gurneys that help us, that are battery powered.
So this electric gurney is really special because when firefighters used to have the gurneys that they had to wheel out and carry, a lot of them would get back injuries and other types of injuries. So this actually helps prevent that.
Yep, helps us lifting, moving patients. It's definitely been a little back saver.
Yeah, and it's just kind of cool to look at, huh? Okay, cool. So this is one of our ambulances. All right, do you guys want to check out the ladder truck? Come on this way. Thanks, guys.
Do it.
All right. So, Firefighter Glasson actually drives the ladder truck. It actually takes a lot of special training to be able to drive this thing because how long is it, do you know?
How long is the truck itself? That's a great question because it's one I don't know the answer to. I can tell you everything else though.
I put him on
I
the
can't
spot.
tell you how long the ladder is.
Okay, how long is the
The
ladder?
ladder
on the
goes
ladder truck?
95 feet in the air. So that's a very specific apparatus because of that. And we can reach a lot of things with the ladder that normally we couldn't. It has a bucket on the end of it that a couple people can be in. We can either rescue people with, spray water from, do many different things. Not only that, the ladder has a lot of different equipment on it that is very specific to the ladder and no other apparatus. You guys want to check it out?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So this is my seat, the driver's seat. This is where everything begins, where we start the process. A lot of switches, A lot of things that make different things work. And then as you guys saw, Mr. Lopez's seat is just behind this, where we keep all of our SCBAs and our personal gear. This is our pump panel. This is where we control the water in and out. We've got a couple hoses here as well. These are hoses that are pre-connected, so as soon as we pull these hoses off, we can fill them full of water and fight fire with them. We've got 2 different sizes. These are 2 smaller 1 3/4 ones and a larger 2.5 inch one. All these gauges here are what tell me many different things. We've got gauges that tell me how much water is coming into the pump, how much water is going out of the pump, and then one for each one of the hoses that we can control and change how much water is going different places. It's a lot of very specific
Hey,
things.
Glasson, Captain Campbell came in. He said the ladder's 48.5 feet long.
Thanks, Cap. Appreciate it.
And Cedar says hi.
Hi. So this is our what we would call the engineer's compartment, and it has a lot of extra tools, as you can see here. So some extra nozzles you may need, different things like that. This is a hydrant wrench. This is what you use to turn on a hydrant and turn it off. This compartment, the extra compartment, and you guys have seen these before. A lot of people have heard of the jaws of life. It's like a giant pair of really strong pliers we can use to open up cars, cut people out of cars after they've been in accidents. And these are all run off of hydraulics. We use these hydraulic hoses that hook up to a hydraulic pump here that powers them. And the next compartment here.
Firefighter Glasson, I know the Jaws of Life, they look kind of heavy. Are they, what, like 50 pounds? Or?
I don't know the exact number, but yeah, I mean, you can imagine it takes me a little bit of, you have to be prepared to pick it up.
Maybe Captain
they are
Campbell
not light
does.
at all.
So would you operate something like that by yourself, or would it take more than one person to use those?
We operate these by ourselves. We're each assigned one of these tools, and then we operate that tool on our own so that we can operate more than one at a time.
Wow.
Cool. So as you can see, Firefighter Carberry has a chainsaw here, and this is our saw compartment. We have 2 different kinds of saws. This is a chainsaw used for venting roofs, and in a structure fire, as a ladder truck, it's our job to vent the smoke and the heat out of the house when it's on fire, and we use chainsaws to cut holes in roofs to do that, so that the firefighters that are inside can see better, and it takes some of the heat away, and it helps them do their job better. The other one that he's holding is called a circ saw. It's a circular, as you can see, and we can use that for many, many, many things, from cutting metal to cutting hoods of cars, concrete, all sorts of different stuff. We have 2 of those and 2 chainsaws in case one breaks down and we end up needing another one. So we're going to take you to the back. The last compartment we're going to look at has all the extra ladders in it. We have an extra 184 feet of ladders. As you can see, quite a few of them. We've got all the numbers here. There's a whole bunch of different sizes, because who knows how tall the houses we're going to have to get on top of. Who knows what we're going to need to do. We've got all sorts of different ones to do that with. They slide right out, and then we get going and climb right on top of the house. Yeah.
It takes a lot of special training, I assume, to be able to operate everything on the ladder truck. Do you guys use specific training for the tools on this truck versus a fire engine?
We do, yeah. It actually takes extra time to learn to be on this rig and to drive this rig. Sometimes months of learning these specific tools and equipment and whatnot, because it's a very different beast for sure.
Yeah, it's a big truck.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys so much
Yeah,
for
you're
showing
welcome.
off some of the vehicles that you guys work out of every day.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it here. We really appreciate you guys joining us today. We hope to show you a lot more of our district in the future. So thanks for being here. We're glad to serve you out in our community, and we'll see you soon.